Alexander Isayevich Solzhenitsyn, born on December 11, 1918, in Kislovodsk, Russia, emerged as one of the most powerful voices against Soviet totalitarianism. His life, marked by war, imprisonment, exile, and relentless literary activism, not only exposed the horrors of the Gulag system, but also inspired global conversations about freedom, truth, and human dignity. Solzhenitsyn's journey from Soviet artillery officer to Nobel Laureate and moral authority is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of oppression. Raised by his mother after his father's early death, Solzhenitsyn grew up during the turbulent years of the Russian Revolution and the rise of the Soviet Union. He studied mathematics and physics at Rostov University, graduating in 1941. Despite his academic focus, he nurtured a deep interest in literature and history. As World War II broke out, he joined the Soviet Army and served with distinction on the Eastern Front, earning military decorations for bravery. During this time, he began privately criticizing Stalin's leadership, expressing his concerns in letters to a close friend, a decision that would later change the course of his life. In February 1945, Solzhenitsyn was arrested by the military counterintelligence, SMERSH, for comments made in correspondence deemed critical of Joseph Stalin. Sentenced to 8 years in the Gulag, he endured brutal conditions in labor camps across the Soviet Union, including a stint at the notorious Mafino Sharashka, a secret research facility where intellectual prisoners were forced to work. These years gave him first-hand insight into the workings of the Soviet repressive system, experiences he would later channel into his writing. After his release in 1953, he was sent into internal exile in Kazakhstan, where he was diagnosed with cancer, a struggle he later recounted in Cancer Ward. Solzhenitsyn's literary breakthrough came in 1962 with the publication of One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich in the magazine Novy Mir. Approved by Nikita Khrushchev as part of the de-Stalinization campaign, the novella offered Soviet readers their first unflinching look at life inside the Gulag. Its protagonist, a simple laborer, embodied the suffering of millions, and the work became an instant sensation. Encouraged by this success, Solzhenitsyn continued to write, completing The First Circle and Cancer Ward, both of which circulated in Samizdat, underground self-publishing, before reaching Western audiences. By the mid-1960s, as Soviet policies hardened under Leonid Brezhnev, Solzhenitsyn found himself increasingly at odds with the regime. His magnum opus, The Gulag Archipelago, a 3-volume historical and testimonial account of the Soviet camp system, was smuggled to the West and published in 1973. Based on the testimonies of hundreds of survivors, the book exposed the scale and brutality of political repression in the USSR. It became a global phenomenon, translated into dozens of languages, and cemented Solzhenitsyn's reputation as a leading dissident. In 1970, he had already been awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature for his ethical force and contribution to Russian literary tradition. In February 1974, following the publication of The Gulag Archipelago, Solzhenitsyn was arrested, stripped of Soviet citizenship, and forcibly exiled. He settled first in West Germany and then in the United States, living in rural Vermont for nearly 2 decades. During this period, he continued writing, completing the multivolume The Red Wheel, a sweeping historical narrative about the Russian revolutions. He also became a prominent public speaker, delivering sharp critiques of both Soviet totalitarianism and what he saw as the spiritual decay of the West. His 1978 Harvard commencement address, in which he warned against excessive individualism and loss of moral courage, sparked widespread debate. After the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, Solzhenitsyn returned to Russia in 1994, traveling across the country by train to reconnect with his homeland. He continued to write and comment on Russian affairs, advocating for a moral and cultural revival rooted in national traditions. Though no longer in exile, he remained critical of post-Soviet corruption and political instability. His later works, including Russia in Collapse and 200 Years Together, reflected his deep engagement with Russia's past and future. Alexander Solzhenitsyn passed away on August 3, 2008, at the age of 89, in Moscow. His legacy endures not only through his literary masterpieces, but also through the impact he had on human rights discourse worldwide. The Gulag Archipelago remains required reading in many schools, and his life story continues to inspire new generations who value truth and freedom. Today, Solzhenitsyn is remembered as a literary titan and a moral beacon, a man who risked everything to tell the truth, transforming personal suffering into a universal call for conscience. His work stands as a warning against oppression and a reminder of the power of the written word to change history.